My name is Colin Turner, and I will be doing my organizational behavior final project on motivational theories. Motivational theories, specifically, I will be talking about what we mentioned in chapter 6 was sort of the expectancy theory and how that applies to different motivational issues that I experienced personally when I worked at Moe's Southwest Grill in Birmingham. So, starting off this situation that I will be talking about is at the Moe's I worked at, a big problem that was experienced that a lot of people had difficulties with was motivation. This could have been for a multiple of different reasons, but all kinds of people they would come in late. They would call out of work all the time. Oftentimes they would schedule their own shifts. They would even pick up different kind of shifts and then call out of their own shifts that they picked up. Even when they were there still wasn't very much motivation. It wasn't good service, poor customer management. All these kinds of things led to different performance issues, and it sort of became just a normal thing to do at the Moe's that I worked at. Most people there were they were all high school age. I was high school age when I worked there. Everybody was high school age. It became the normal. You came in, the people who trained you basically told you, like, hey, it doesn't really matter what you do. You kind of just hear the manager does his own thing. He doesn't really care what you do as long as you don't scream at anybody or do anything crazy. There's nothing to do. It became the norm to just have no motivation and to not do anything. And this caused poor performance, different types of bad turnover rates. All these things really led to poor performance for the Moe's and for the people that worked at the Moe's. So why does this matter? Motivation is a big concept in organizational behavior. It's a thing we talked about a lot, specifically this chapter 6. But it's a core concept of OB as it affects everywhere inside of a particular organization. This Moe's, for instance, any sort of team, it affects everything. Whether you love work, whether you hate work, whether you treat others nicely, whether you treat bad, whether you're treated poorly, whether you think your work is meaningful, whether you hate your work, whether you think it sucks, all these kinds of things can affect your motivation and are directly affected by the motivation that you have for yourself. In my case, this motivation was everything. Specifically, it really wasn't specific. There were things that affected the lowest level people, the cashiers, the people who rolled the burritos, all the way up to the managers who owned the store. There was, simply put, there was hardly any motivation surrounding anything, and that's such a big topic. So as I mentioned before, the sort of specific topic I chose within motivation was expectancy theory. And expectancy theory has 3 components. And breaking it down, it's expectancy, instrumentality, and valence. Expectancy is basically something, if you try hard, you will succeed. If I do this enough and well enough and hard enough, I will have success in that particular instance. The second part, instrumentality, is if you succeed in that trying hard, you will be rewarded. There will be a positive outcome in some way, shape, or form for you. And the last part of that, valence, is really how much you care about that reward, whatever reward is in it for you. How much do you actually care about that? Is it meaningful to you? Does it matter to you? Will it benefit you? All of these things. If any of these 3 steps of expectancy theory lack, then motivation plummets. This is directly motivated to how hard employees will work, is how hard they think they were rewarded, how much they think is in it for them. It is directly related to how hard people will work in the workforce. So basically my analysis of this problem, expectancy theory in my job, expectancy was already low at this place. There was no training for employees. So as I said, the training that we came in, it was basically just like, this is how you're supposed to do the bare minimum of your job. And then employees got that, and then nothing else. So the employee confidence was low. So there was hardly any expectations. Instrumentality also was not there in any sort of shape or form. There were no rewards. There may have been some small rewards here and there, but there was nothing. Valence was also extremely low. As I mentioned, there were no real rewards, so there's nothing really to look forward to. There may have been here and there, you get a free meal, you get a free 20% off discount. We already got the employee discount, so it really wasn't anything else special. There was no real reward. Nobody cared about the free meal. People were taking free meals anyway, so it didn't really matter to them. There were a lot of things. There was basically nothing that there was no reward that anybody could look forward to. There was everything. There's no motivation anywhere around this company. So, some of my recommendations that I would give a few recommendations. The first of which would be to provide structuring type of onboarding and training. People were not trained in this job. People did not know really what the expectations were, what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing, really how they should be working. And I think that would be a great first step to take in these employees being trained. My second step would be to provide a reward type of system. As I mentioned, there were no rewards. In expectancy theory, there's a lot of rewards that are beneficial to people, and there was nothing. Make some type of you perform well, you get a better reward. Some type of performance reward system would be very beneficial. And then employee recognition, whether that's not necessarily reward, but I think something like an employee of the month, shout out at some type of team meeting, employee meeting. One of these type of things will cause will be a great recommendation and cause people to be a little bit more motivated. And the last thing I would say was get real feedback from the employees. There was no way for anybody to get feedback from any of us, any of the other employees. There was no way for any of them to get any of these things. So with all recommendations, there is obstacles in every sense. A couple of the obstacles that I would say is obviously there is obstacles that come with change. The first one is budget. It's a small store. A lot of smaller stores, especially fast food stores, they don't necessarily have things that they don't have the money to spend to just do all of these different awards and different whatever. Two, I would say favoritism is another problem that could be experienced with this. Managers could like someone over somebody else. They could hire this guy and be like, oh, I don't like him. I don't like how he acts. I don't like how he fill in the blank of how he would act. But favoritism can be easily exploited. And then the last problem that I said is that managers may necessarily not want to change. You come into a place and you tell managers, hey, I think you should do this. I think this is how you should act. They may not necessarily want to change and want to improve these things, especially if they're in their place. They make their good amount of money that they're okay with. They don't love the change. A lot of higher up people don't love change when they think that they've been doing fine. So what do I take away personally from this, and what do I think I could have done better at the time? I think I could have told a manager a few things. I could have told a manager how I felt, how other people felt. But the other problem that I think I personally that I've taken away and learned now, especially in light of this class, is that I just didn't speak up. I really didn't say anything. Most people were just kind of quiet, and this is how it is, this is how it has been, and this is just kind of what you do and what you're used to. And then in that same line of token, I could have easily been a positive influence. I could have done something better, something a little more, something a little less on this kind of end. And I could have created some change, and I could have influenced my employees positively. And that's just something that I didn't do, and I could have done a little bit better. And this wraps up my presentation on expectancy theory and motivations in my workplace and in my personal experience that I had with working at Moe's. And this is my final project. We're excited here at the end. And thank you for listening.